Poverty is the deficiency of necessary or desirable things. Every 5 seconds, a child dies from poverty. For over half the world, or about 3 billion people, this is their reality. Today, about 25,000 kids died. And right now, across the world, there are about 800 million people hungry. With poverty comes many challenges. Living in severe poverty, people face fatal obstacles every day of their lives. Malnutrition, the deprivation of clean water, and improper sanitation are just a few. Malnutrition is a condition that results from an unbalanced diet in which certain nutrients are lacking. 1 in 12 people across the world are malnourished, including 160 million children under the age of 5. Improper sanitation is the lacking of proper sanitary objects. This makes diseases easier to spread around through people, and every year 2 million people die from this, and 2.5 billion people lack access to proper sanitation. The deprivation of clean water is most likely the worst of the three. The lack of clean water can cause up to 1/2 of the world's hospitalizations, and every 20 seconds, totaling to about 1.4 million people every year, die from waterborne diseases. 884 million people lack access to safe water, and studies show that the water crisis has claimed more lives than any war. Malaria is an infectious disease characterized by recurring attacks of chills and fever, caused only by the bite of a mosquito. Over 3.2 billion people, about half the world's population, is at risk of malaria, and every year, 1 million of these people die. Unfortunately, Africa has 90% of these deaths. Every 1 in 5 children across Africa die from this disease, and about 210,000 deaths are from pregnant women and their babies. The cure for malaria is relatively easy. In fact, there are several different medications that can kill the virus, but getting these medications to different villages is hard, so instead of curing the disease, many organizations have begun to prevent it by giving nets for the families to sleep in. Miraculously, research has shown that the actual mosquito population drops 90% when 3/4 of the community uses nets consistently. AIDS is a disease of the immune system characterized by increased susceptibility to opportunistic infections caused by a retrovirus and transmitted chiefly through blood and sexual contact. As of 2009, there are 33 million people living with AIDS. And every year, 2.6 million more people are diagnosed with this terrible disease. Since the epidemic began, an estimated 16.6 million children have lost their parents to this virus, leaving them to fend for themselves. This epidemic is spread throughout the whole world, but sub-Saharan Africa contains 90% or 22.5 million cases. Although AIDS cannot be officially labeled a disease of poverty, poverty is a major factor of the spreading of this disease. Factors caused by poverty such as uneducated people, lack of money for the doctors, and the lack of proper sanitation are the things that mostly lead to AIDS, but it is a proven fact that the AIDS virus has worsened the poverty for the people. There are very many poverty-stricken countries, but the top 10 poorest countries in the world are the Central African Republic, Ethiopia, Niger, the Solomon Islands, Comoros, Somalia, the Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Zimbabwe, and the poorest country in the world is the Republic of Congo, whose GDP per capita is only $300. America ranks at the 8th richest country in the world, but even still, there is poverty. Nearly 13% of people in the U.S. live in poverty, and about 1 in 4 children live in households that struggle to put food on the table. The main difference between poverty in the U.S. and other less developed countries is that America has many organizations that work together to help. Although Americans have 13% poverty percentile, we have things other countries could never dream of. An average American can spend about $70 to $90 a day, and the average person living in poverty spends only $1.50. As Americans, we don't truly understand how blessed we are to have our basic needs plus more. Something we can easily spend $5 on, like a Starbucks coffee, could literally be enough to save a child's life. But something America is great for is creating the hundreds of different organizations that fight poverty, like World Day of Social Justice, Feeding America, Project Bread, Kiva, One, Oxfam, The Hunger Project, and World Vision, just to name a few. You can make a difference. Are you willing to?